Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. 12 o'clock location. We have Yamtube, aka Rush, starting as the orange Terran, bottom left-hand corner. We have JYJ starting as the brown Terran. This is going to be an epic TvT on Ascension. I wonder if one of these guys is going to go drop. I know it's very risky, but this is just like, if anyone was going to do it, JYJ would be the guy, right? JYJ playing phenomenal lately. Really, him light, and just they're playing fantastically. It feels like I'm going to credit light a little bit for JYJ's level of innovation and everything else. It just feels like the Terran players in Korea, they, rather than the Protoss or Zerg players where they seem to have kind of their cabal where they're playing games but not really sharing information, it feels like all of the Terran have huddled together and they're just brainstorming and creating like a brain collective. And JYJ certainly seems like he's got a place on that dark Terran Council where they're like, how do we dismantle the Protoss and the Zerg and other Terran ourselves? Gotta have a bit of... And then they cackle as they talk about various factory oddity timings. Regardless, JYJ and Rush, both aggressive players, both extremely fantastic with early game micro. I give JYJ the creativity edge. Rush tends to stick... He will play aggressive openers and then play from there. I think JYJ's macros may be a little bit better than Rush's, but it's razor thin, and honestly, both these guys are fun to watch and should be an exciting one. It looks like the barracks placement for Rush, I think, and also I believe the mineral patch location for one of the players or another is an advantage, but I can't remember for which. I think it might be an advantage for Rush, depending on, it's like slightly closer, and so you get a little bit more efficiency overall, so small advantages there. Refinery being tacked on. Someone who's like a high-level Terran player in chat, I'm sure, will drop a comment regarding that. Looks like we are going to see a scout for JYJ heading to the north, so it will have first scout. The barracks positioning should work out for Rush as well. And this is a small thing, but can lead to big things. So it looks like actually seeing that SCV path, and Rush is also going to adjust that SCV path. But this barracks is much closer than this barracks as far as towards enemy territory to be that forward scouting piece. So factory being built and having early game information, particularly in the more current meta of Terran versus Terran, where you're plopping, where it's kind of variations on how you deal with the initial 3 factory vulture. Looks like we're seeing a quick command center, by the way. Rax into command center for JYJ, so he's definitely going to be in more the defensive position to start. Factory first for Rush. Barracks starting to float that direction, now tacking on that gas. We'll see if JYJ is able to defend it. SCVs circling one another here menacingly, although no damage done. Mierin is starting to sprint out, and you can see that barracks floating this direction already. It was mostly, it looks like, to push back that initial SCV, but that factory is going to be done much more rapidly for Rush. He's dropping down a command center to follow, so you can say that's the start where the command center is nearly finished opposite side. There will be a vulture to start, and we'll see if there's an investment in a bunker on front for JYJ to help defend this. Still hasn't started his factory, just got the Hunter gas to do so. So we got 2 Marines and SCV on the front. An SCV sneaking around the corner, wants to see whether there was a follow-up into expansion or whether there's going to be more aggressive follow-up. And maybe to delay that vulture a little bit. So sees the vulture on the way, has the timing of it. The Marine actually sprinting immediately out upon seeing that SCV, and the command center spotted as well. Bunker right there, and the barracks actually, this could also be a big factor here where JYJ, so granted he has the economic lead, but he's going to have greater... He's going to have reduced visibility. He's going to have a greater darkness. I wanted to put it that way. A lack of information, which can be critical. But that barracks needing to be on the front, and maybe a supply depot as well. Looks like a supply depot being dropped to go ahead and box that vulture out of that natural expansion. Was able to secure a kill. It looks like Rush going to draw that SCV back. JYJ currently going to get that SCV lead, dropping his machine shop. I assume to maybe jump straight to siege tanks. Mines being researched, a second factory dropped in the meantime for Rush. And we'll see if he goes to... So he is going up to a 3rd factory here. One thing on Ascension is, and this is actually something I noted in a previous cast, I hadn't cast Ascension for a while, and I just wanted to say that, Protoss is a pretty good map for Protoss, potentially. But now I'm not sure I want to say that. Looks like we do have a second and third factory, by the way, for JYJ, and a fourth being dropped as far away from that barracks as possible. So showing the front barracks, or sorry, showing the front factory. Did I say barracks there? I meant factory. As though this was going to be more of a siege defense expand, but instead we've actually got 4 factories being built behind this compared to the 3 from Rush. 3 looks like we have an armory and an academy follow-up. But anyway, in previous match versus in I can't remember who I was casting, but vultures can be very powerful on this map just because there's so much. This is such a wide open third. And there's just a lot of lanes, and you can see any additional expansion you take, there's just a lot of surface area, which means you really have to lock things down and have positional control in order to just defend it. If you try to play more defensively passively after your initial 2 bases, you can very easily get swarmed. Siege tank moving its way out, so there will be a massive amount of vultures with speed on the map for JYJ shortly. Siege tank on the front. We do have some vultures already out in the field. The barracks now starting to float forward and provide some scouting information. The worker count somehow dead even between all this, but JYJ with the overall supply lead. But keep in mind that supply lead is in vultures over siege tanks, and siege tanks do trade very, very well as long as they can get positioned to do so and there aren't mines in their face. No mine upgrade yet, by the way, for JYJ. Mine's just researching now. So I'm going to say better troop composition in small areas like this for Rush, but a better composition in open field for JYJ. And currently JYJ going to keep that vulture army out mid-map, wait for the mines to upgrade, deploy them out. He is running on 4 factories. It looks like a 4th and a 5th factory being dropped from Rush. And we'll see if he cycles that +1 weapons out a little bit earlier as well. Right now, JYJ just making sure additional expansions haven't been snuck in. Ooh, that Marine exposed on the front could be easy pickings here for JYJ. And it looks like he's going to do a little bit of engagement from the high ground, opting to engage versus the siege tanks at a closer reinforcement point as well, hoping to maybe get some of these mines to explode on those siege tanks to even up that count. But a nice backup by Rush overall, as well as a beautiful comm set to clear the mines on low ground. And JYJ going to be pushed back to that high ground. Going to try to just cover mines right there. Some SCVs moving out to go ahead and repair the attack force on the front. And Rush slowly going to push JYJ off that corner. A starport now being dropped. Interesting. From JYJ, getting a comsat station up. He is working on +1 weapons. +1 weapons is not currently upgrading for Rush on the opposite side of the map. So there will be the upgrade advantage, but still no siege tanks or Goliaths out on the map. And JYJ's vultures, as well as all of the mines he's placed, very steadily being cleared and pushed back, which could open up a reliable third for Rush in just a moment, but certainly going to provide a little bit more comfort on Rush's side of the map. Pretty nice defensive wall and solid mine coverage. He does need to get some mines to the south to make sure he can see any troops incoming, and with that, going to sidle out an SCV to go ahead and grab a third on his secured side of the map. And nice diligence here on Rush's part, dropping some comsats to do some further mine clearage. Midfield. And siege tanks now claiming center map. Although on other maps, I would feel like this is a little bit more than it is. Right now, it does close down a little bit of a vulture assault lane, but there is a lot of additional territory that can be covered on Ascension. Rush does have this backup roaming vulture force, though, to cut off anything that might be... And wow, we got 3 machine shops behind this, so there's going to be a very heavy siege tank count to follow it up. So despite the +1 weapons, that might be a follow-up from JYJ. He's going to grab his 6 o'clock. That feels very dangerous. You got vultures already nearby. He's got just 2 mines on the high ground, a few mines elsewise. But this is, in my opinion, a fairly risky take. And at least early, it looks like Rush is going to have a superior, it looks like SCV count. He's going to have a much faster third. He'll be down the +1 weapons, but have more than enough siege tanks, I think, already in position to kind of cover the difference. Maybe he can find some location or another to go ahead and poke. One thing with Ascension is because of the massive amount of open ground and so many lanes, you can oftentimes find a hole to poke through as Terran, one direction or another. And that was the other aspect I was going to say. We did see that starport dropped. And dropships can also be a sizable factor because they're just massive areas to drop in the main. Vultures gathering up to do a little skirmish at the 9 o'clock with the siege tank support on the low ground. JYJ, I don't know if he's going to be able to punch through this or not. All the vultures expended. 5 siege tanks versus 3, but they do have to walk uphill. Looks like they're going to hold position at the moment. There's still this vulture here at the 9 o'clock, but this could be a lane. I'll try to keep an eye on the minimap. It's so challenging, TvT, actually, on the minimap to just pick out the dot that's floating out there, the proper direction, to recognize that it's the dropship sometimes. But we'll keep an eye on that dropship because that could be something that would even things up for JYJ. I hate it sometimes when the colors also do this overlap thing where if you have the brown over the orange, sometimes it disguises where they are, but we'll try to keep an eye out for that. But in the meantime, 3 bases up, critically 3 machine shops, Charon booster upgrades as well, 2nd army green drop, +1 weapons for Rush. He is more of an established position out there. Earlier, +1 weapons and +2 weapons. Not going to be, looks like it's going to be about even. Ooh, Wraith transition, interestingly enough. This Vulture was sitting out near the 4th. And Rush already setting up an SCV maybe in that upper right-hand corner. Didn't see the drop. Wow, I'm glad that SCV was there because I actually spotted it here. But able to drop in the main. Could even up the worker count. This is certainly going to do some economic damage, but the SCVs are scattering on the refinery. Looks like a supply depot was blockaded as well. A Wraith moving out. I didn't even realize a Wraith was being constructed opposite side, but a Wraith moving out, so those Vultures not long for life. So it looks like that dropship is going to get wiped out. The 2 Vultures redropping to get some value. And 3 Vultures somehow sneaking across that 9 o'clock edge. JYJ just finding the exact pockets and going to be able to get some additional SCV kills. And with that, he's actually evened up the worker count, which is about where both players want to be at the 70. He's grabbing his 4th ahead of Rush. So as things stand, Rush is kind of carved out the position that he's kind of established. Okay, you're going to have to break my lines someplace. He's got things mid-map. He's got a 15 supply lead overall. But JYJ finding locations to poke, and it looks like he's going to the far right of this line, finding the mines to clear. Rush pressing up with a counterattack force. It looks like JYJ going to get the earlier siege, however. 2 siege tanks dying on the front. And wow, another set of siege tanks that looks like that one shot and then exploded. The Vultures are now cleared. 1 mine explodes. I think that might have just gotten taken out. Looks like Rush is going ahead and grabbing his 4th. It's going to be, wow, just about the same time. Just about even in timing. But JYJ has managed to create a little bit of a wedge towards that right-hand side. Not large enough. I take it back. He's actually grabbing an additional base on the inside 6. So this Rush going to take a theoretical economic lead if he can get the SCV saturation out that direction. Factory count being pushed up, so we're tacking on 3 additional factories to grow the overall count to 8. On this side of the map, opposite side, we are seeing a few additional factories being tacked on. We got 4, 5, 6. And it looks like JYJ being repelled from that right-hand side, and critically from the bottom right-hand side of the map. Some Wraiths sneaking out. There is a turret right there, so just now deciding to fire. A little bit of a glitch right there. 1 siege tank out of the corner, so JYJ trying to find pockets and corners where you can peck away at the positional control, moving up a lot of siege tanks and Vultures towards that left-hand side. But at the moment, Rush does have, first of all, an economic lead inside 12, a little bit more of a defensive situation, minus little pocket attack forces overall. And he just, yeah, if he can keep responding to JYJ's attempted pokes and maintain high ground advantage, particularly engagements like this, +2 weapons versus +2 weapons, +1 armor, by the way, should be okay overall. I like the engineering bay blockade. It looks like the Vulture's still going to be able to get through. Might be able to get a few additional SCV kills. Right now, JYJ a little bit at 80 SCV, which is maybe a few too many. He's going to go ahead and sneak and make sure nothing's there at the right. Some Valkyries have been built to help deal with the 8 Wraith that are currently floating around the field for JYJ. So Rush in a healthy economic position. JYJ's got to come to him. He's currently down in supply. He does have a little bit of mobility advantage. JYJ looks like he's already building another command center and wants to maybe float it out into that inside 3 o'clock location, which would be in striking distance for Rush. JYJ repositioning troops, maybe looking for a soft spot, is going to push right up the middle. Valkyries do not attack ground, keep in mind. Some tanks going to reinforce and re-siege. So a few siege tanks being wiped out, but not a lot else happening. Some Wraith now going to sneak top right. Turret's already there. And the Valkyries nearly wiping out, well, are going to wipe out, it looks like, the remaining Wraith. Push them back. So things looking a little bit grim for JYJ. He's down 20 supply. One advantage, though, is that Valkyries... I almost wonder, like, at this stage, do you even keep them alive, or do you just want to move them forward? Maybe even move one forward to just be a forward scout and get some information in that regard. 9 o'clock. I guess you could do this as well. Just have them harass that barracks and be a little bit annoying. Rush pressing up to deny that inside 3 o'clock. Taking options out of JYJ's hands. Not finding... Not sure where the siege tank... I'm going to back up. Felt like there was a siege tank opposite side, but it looks like it's not. So this is going to be a pocket where Rush is able to actually break through. And this, wow, JYJ being risky. He's going to go ahead and drop some siege tanks over the edge to try to cap that bottom right-hand base to get back into this and get an economic lead and maybe try to sneak one under Rush's nose. That is going to be exposed. Testing the middle of the map, and I'm, ooh, getting a big shot right there. Clearing a lot with this forward siege, using the vision well. And with that, very nearly evening the supply count. That's also going to be extremely beneficial, be distractionary. You can see that Rush is hunting for the additional base that JYJ was going to take at this stage, not realizing that it's in fact bottom right. It looks like JYJ is going to be able to repel this attack across that 9 o'clock corner. Looks like Rush trying to grab the base at the 9 o'clock himself. We'll see if he can hold it, as JYJ has that sizable encroaching siege tank army that could go up to the high ground. Now, the Valkyrie's just going to be sitting there in the meantime. Rush needs to hurry up and get some troops in position. That barracks being taken out early was actually pretty valuable, because now JYJ maybe does not feel very confident moving into enemy territory to do any sort of assault here at the 9 o'clock. Perhaps doesn't want to risk or expend troops that would be retaken anyway. So as things stand, we got 4 machine shops down for a total factory count of 7, unless I'm missing some additional factories someplace else, and I do not believe I am. Rush now taking the 3 o'clock, making his way... Yeah, see, he's grabbing territory, not realizing that this bottom right-hand base has been taken opposite corner. Big drop, a doom drop moving up. Rush able to sweep out, and yeah, I think he was trying to deny this base this side, but instead getting dropped on. And I'm wondering if JYJ was surprised by this 3 o'clock base grab, because I think that was headed towards the main. The Wraith starting to work on the dropships, some turrets as well. A counter push from Rush. A few SCV making their way out to the 9 o'clock. JYJ trying to reclaim that territory along that left-hand side and re-pushing to the high ground to threaten this base in the upper right-hand corner. Huge pile of siege tanks there. Looks like they are creating a sizable wedge. A few vultures and a siege tank going to move across the low ground to get in siege range of those SCVs. Another grouping of siege tanks trying to move in. And at the very least, they're going to deny that interior 3 o'clock base. But I think this is valuable for JYJ overall, because Rush is fighting over territory that JYJ is unconcerned about. He's established that bottom right. He might be able to walk in and take this natural expansion from the bottom right, and that's going to really nullify a lot of the work that Rush did to kind of secure and deny the midpoint across this map. And on top of that, another big key aspect was defending that upper right. However, massive counter drop from Rush into the main. Huge amount of siege tanks, and I don't know where the nearest defense force for JYJ is. It looks like it's loaded in these dropships, starting to press up. More dropships moving in to try to cover it. That's going to give him point-blank reinforcement location. Some SCVs pulling off the line to try to defend this as well. But the main, oof. under critical threat. More SCVs trying to peel out to fight against this. That is still a full 10 siege tanks under all of this. More dropships making the way forward. And the thing is JYJ might be able to defend this drop. He's lost a lot of infrastructure. His supply has dropped down 40, but also a lot of positions on the map have more or less been opened up. There's a few mines covering nearly anything else, but that 6 o'clock base, the 5 o'clock base are both exposed now to just a ground movement army. He's just hoping that bottom right doesn't get touched, moving out with siege tanks to go ahead and push up and grab that now. But I don't know that he has an answer. Yeah, he's going to call GG right there as Rush able to doom drop in his main. It's over. Great play from Rush, top to bottom. Fun one to watch from two Terran beasts. If you guys enjoyed it, please give a like and subscribe to StarCastTV. Appreciate your viewership as always. Thank you for listening.